So, welcome everyone. Good afternoon. And this is one of the series that we have been doing on motivational talks. And today we are going to discuss some of how we can take away some of our negative habits. This, in the terms of the scriptures, is called as Durvasana. Now, we commonly feel that we have enemies who are outside us. People trying to intimidate us, or people trying to belittle us, or not allowing us to progress in some or the other ways. But I'm quite sure, and I'm very confident to say that most of our greatest enemies are within us, and these enemies are what is called as Durvasana. So Durvasana means Vasana means means it is either somehow it is unhealthy, or it is not very it can be also termed as evil, or not so positive. And Vasana means the desires, or even better word would be tendencies, or our strong habits or inclination. So these are the ones which we need to identify, and they have been part of us, been with us for maybe not just ages and years, but maybe few births, and that's why they become part of us. They become part of our personality, very closely associated with us, and sometimes we don't even recognize them. We are not aware of them, and that's why the first step is to get aware about these kind of Durvasana, so that we can get rid of them and then progress on our path, whatever goals that we have desired for ourselves to achieve. And these Durvasana are definitely the root cause of most of the miseries that we face day in and day out in life. Though we always try to blame most of our problems on others, other people, circumstances outside us, but it is these Durvasanas, or this kind of unhealthy attachments or tendencies that we have within us. They are probably the root cause of all the miseries that we encounter day in and day out in life. And these Durvasanas are also the main cause for failure to achieve our great potential as a human being. In whatever goals we try to achieve, whatever we try to achieve, either in the outer world or even for a spiritual seeker, one of the major obstacles for the spiritual seeker also to attain the goal are these Durvasanas. And that's why I think they form a very, very important part of our personality, and they form a very important part of our awareness, so that we can take care of them. So the question is, can I change these Durvasanas which are within me? That is the first question. And of course, as we have already seen in a lot of this series says yes, I can. But we have seen how we can change our other habits of lifestyle, all our other habits. Similarly, we can definitely change this Durvasana. But the main big question is how? How is it possible? Who is going to guide me? Who is going to tell me? And who is going to guide me? But I think for such questions, the greatest answers would come from our ancient Indian wisdom. And I don't think there is a better treasure than our scriptures, where we can get this understanding, we can get these ideas, we can understand what are these Durvasanas, how we can tackle them. So what I am going to do today is go into one of the scriptures of our ancient Indian wisdom and see what the scriptures tell us, how we can take care of these Durvasanas. So I'm going to take help, the base and the entire presentation today is going to be on this scripture, which is called Durvasana Pratikar Dashakam. So it's basically just focused on how to take care of these Durvasanas. It is called Durvasana Pratikar. Pratikar means how we can remedy, or how can control, or how we can overcome these obstacles or this Durvasana. And Dashakam means it's a samu, or it's a granth of 10 shlokas. So in 10 shlokas, this was created by Swami Vidyaranya Muni, who was one of the major Vedantic scholars, who also created very important Vedantic granthas like Panchadashi, and he was the architect of this grantha. So we'll take this as a base and talk about what are the Durvasanas that we face and how we can overcome them. So we'll start from the first shloka. What I'll do is first I'll recite the shloka, and then we will see the meaning of each and every word. We'll break down these shlokas into different words, and then we'll look at the meaning. What are the Durvasana and what the scriptures tell us how we can take care, or what is a remedial action. So let us start with the first shloka. It says, Prata Vaidika Karma Tasta Danusat Vedanta Sanchintaya Paschat Bharata Moksha Dharma Kathaya Vasishtha Ramayanat Sayam Bhagavatartha Tattva Kathaya Ratrau Nididhyasanat Kalo Gacchatu Na Sharira Bharanam Prarabdha Kantharpitam. So now let's look at what this first shloka tells us. It says, Prata Vaidika Karma Tasta Danusat, means let my morning time be utilized for doing some Vedic karmas. Prata means morning, Vedic karma means those type of karmas which are being told to me by the Vedas, that these are my Nitya karma, Naimittika karma, I should do this karma. So I should do this kind of some good Vedic karmas in the morning time. So that is what the first stanza says. Then it says, then you do some Vedanta Sanchintaya. So either you read, listen, or you meditate, or some do some chintana on some of the the basis or the principles of Vedanta, or some of the scriptures. Paschat Bharata Moksha Dharma Kathaya, means after that you read or listen to some katha from either Mahabharata or from Vasishtha Ramayana. So basically some scriptural tales which can give us some bodha or updesha, which can help us, guide us. Sayam Bhagavatartha Tattva Katha, in the evening either read or listen to some meaning of Bhagavata Tattva Katha. Bhagavat, as you know, is a grantha which is gives all the different births of Bhagwan, all the different avatars of Bhagwan. So in that there is a lot of tattva, the main knowledge part of Bhagavata Tattva Katha. And then Ratrav Nididhyasanat. So at evening time or bedtime you should do some contemplation or reflection, or maybe some meditation. This could be any type of meditation, either a Vedantic or any other type of meditation. And the last line says, Kalo Gacchatu Na Sharira Bharanam Prarabdha Kantharpitam, means leave all these anxieties of the body nourishment, what will happen tomorrow, today, how will I going to take care of myself, my family, and you leave it to the destiny, Prarabdha. So it essentially means you must have a surrender to the Almighty, to the God, to the nature, that the God will take care of it. There is a way, how there is a system which God has created, may it be called the law of karma or whatever we call it, but there is a system how everyone is taken care of in this universe. So don't worry too much, don't think too much, just surrender yourself to the Lord. So in essence, the first shloka tells us how we should live our daily life, what should be our routine schedule. Either this is for a person who is a grahastha. Grahastha means somebody who is a seeker while staying at home with a family, or even for somebody who is a sannyasa, means that they have left home for their spiritual seeking. So for any of these person, or even for the person who lives in this world, in spite of him not having some kind of understanding, but he should spend some time in good thoughts, good reading, good listening from the scriptures. So at least some part of the day should be spent in this, and we shouldn't worry too much and live our future to destiny. Of course, it doesn't mean that you don't have to work, or you don't have to try, or you don't have to work. We'll come to that later on. So what it tries to tell us. So let's come to the second shloka. The second shloka starts by saying, Ajnanam tyaja he mano mama sada brahmatma sadbhavana sankalpan akhilan api tyaja jagan mithyatwata sambhavanat kamam sadhana shrama parit dhyanad jastram tyaja krodhantu kshamaya sada jahi balat lobham tu santoshatah. So this shloka starts by addressing your own mind. Oh, my mind. It says, Yajnanam tyaja mama. Let my ignorance be vanished. So the first the main problem or the root cause of all the durvasanas. It is considered in the scripture that the root cause of all the durvasanas is the ajnana or the ignorance that we have in our mind, and that's why the first updesha is that we must try and make sure that our ignorance is vanished. And how we can do this? It says Sada Brahmatma Sadbhavanat, means you should do some kind of contemplation or chintana of Brahma Atma Chintan. Essentially, what Vedanta tells us that behind our own strong association with our body and mind complex, which is a finite, which is mortal, lies an immortal soul, which is infinite, and this is our true real self. That is what Vedanta tells us, and we should try and think about this ever-pervading, ever-existing, all-pervasive soul, which is our own self. And we should always try to get this knowledge, understand this knowledge. Until we have this knowledge as part of our own self, assimilated within ourselves, we can do what is called as a sadbhavanat. We can have a bhavana that we are one, everybody is one, and there is a oneness amongst in this universe. So that kind of a bhavana we should have till we can get that knowledge, which can be a source that by ignorance will be removed and it will be completely destroyed, and that will take care of all the durvasanas. So it starts with the first durvasana. It is called Sankalpan Akhilan Api Tyaja Jagan. So all my desires be relieved, and we all have lots of desires in our own self for which we want, there is something that we always desire one after the other, and these desires keep on coming to us repeatedly. Even if one is taken care of, the other desire comes up. So continuously these desires come up, and then we try to fulfill that desire, and in the process we get more and more desires. So it says that if you can relieve all your desires, you can have a peace or tranquility of mind. And how we can relieve ourselves of all the desires? It says Jagata Mithyapas Sambhavanat, by seeing the illusion of the world. Now, illusion of the world doesn't mean that the world does not exist. Of course, what we see in the world does exist. It is there. But illusion means that it does not exist in a way that we see it, we perceive it. The true nature of this world is different from what we perceive. So that is what this stanza means, that by seeing this illusionary nature or the transient nature or the impermanent or the ever-changing nature of the world, we should try and relieve ourselves of all the desires, because it is these desires that is the root cause of most of our miseries. The next sentence says Kamama sadhana shrama parit dhyanada jastram tyaja, means let all my desires be relieved by seeing carefully the efforts that I need to fulfill all those desires. So I have to do so many efforts to fulfill these desires, and sometimes the futility of these efforts can be seen to show that these desires may not be that worthwhile. And the last statement says Krodhantu kshamaya sada jahi balat, let my anger be always vanquished by forgiveness, and lobham tu santoshataha, greed by satisfaction or by contentment. So there are several of our durvasanas, but the two mentioned here, which are the most important, one is anger and the other is lobha. Lobha is greed, essentially. So anger is somehow when you have a desire and then this desire is not fulfilled, then we get angry. So basically the root cause of anger is the desire, and when the desire does not get fulfilled for several reasons, we become angry, and this can be vanquished by having an understanding of forgiveness or trying to forgive people for their follies, understanding that even sometimes we make mistakes, so it's quite natural that somebody else can also make a mistake, and we should try and forgive them. And the second is the lobha. So whenever desires get fulfilled, we get more and more desires to achieve more and more or get more and more. That is called lobha. It is a greed, and all of us are have some kind of this greed inside us to achieve more and more, to get more and more, to accumulate more and more. So this greed can only be satisfied by having contentment or some kind of a satisfaction in life. Otherwise, in spite of accumulating a lot of knowledge, wealth, and all the other worldly things, we may not be happy in the end. So some kind of contentment and satisfaction is essential in the spiritual path. So let's come to the third shloka. The third shloka says, Jivopasta sukha brahmam tyaja mana paryanta dukkhe kshanat parushyam mrudu bhashanat tyaja vrutha lapashramam maunatah dussangah tyaja sadhu sangam balat garva tu bhange kshanat ninda dukkham anindya deva munibihi ninda katha sanskrute. So this also starts with addressing the mind and says Jivha upastha sukha brahmam tyaja mana. So it says Jivha. Jivha is the taste buds. We all have a lot of weakness for taste and food. Most of us are like quite foodies. We have very strong likes, dislikes, and attachment to good food. We love, enjoy food. And the second is the illusion of the upastha sukha. Upastha sukha is the physical sukha that we have a brahma of having through the it's a physical relationship, the sukha that comes through the physical bodily contact. So this is both these sukhas also is a kind of a brahma. That is what it says, and we should let it go. Both these are illusions. And how we can let it go? By thinking paryanta dukkhe kshanat, how finally it gives rise to miseries. Say for example, taste buds, we keep eating things which are we don't need it, but then it keeps on accumulating on our tummies, and then we start growing, and then it also causes more and more diseases like hypertension, diabetes, and other things. And of course, illegitimate relations, as you know, outside marriages create a lot of disaster for families. They break up families in the end. They create lots of problems, not only for the people involved, but even for the children. So this finally gives rise to miseries. And if you can see this from a long-term perspective, how this is miserable, we can give up these kind of the transient sukha brahma. It also then says that parushyam mrudu bhashanat tyaja, means that let go of harsh words by soft words. Somehow we sometimes use very harsh words, especially for people who are working for us or working with us, and we have a habit. So we should try and use nice soft words so that we don't disrespect people, because we don't also like to be disrespected by use of harsh words when others use it on us. Vrutha lapashramam maunataha means that we have a habit of talking too much, which sometimes becomes quite worthless, and it's just become an habit. We keep chattering, keep talking too much without understanding what is there a need or not, without understanding the purpose. And that's why this can be reduced by keeping silence as much as we can, and we should talk only what is necessary rather than just utilizing our words for things that is not worthwhile for. The second sentence says, Dussangam tyaja sadhu sangam balat. So let go of bad company by having company of wise people like sadhu santa. So basically it tells us that satsanga and sadhu sangha and satsanga is essential, because we can learn a lot of different attitudes, different the realities from the wise people, and we can become wiser by their company. Garva tu bhange kshanat means we should let go of our ego by knowing that it has a very transient nature and eventually will be destroyed. Bhange kshanat means eventually this ego or garva is going to be destroyed. Even people like Ravana, who was such a powerful king, his ego could not be survived. So most of the people who have a lot of strong ego, there will be situations, circumstances in his or her life where their ego will be destroyed. And so it's better to look at this and become humble rather than become egoistic. And the last sentence says, Ninda dukkham anindya deva munibihi ninda katha sansprute. So we all are quite worried about the pain of criticism. A lot of people criticize us, sometimes our patients, our other colleagues, our family members, our friends, and we all have to bear with this pain of criticism. And this ninda dukkha we can only relief by listening to the stories of the great people who himself or themselves had to undergo so much of criticism or condemnation by people. Even if you think of stories of great devotees, or like Meera or Tulsidas or Surdas, or great devotees, or even for that matter avatar Purushas like Rama and Krishna, those who had also, when they came in a human form, they had to undergo a lot of criticism from the people, and that itself shows that nobody is immune from criticism. So this pain also we should bear with us by listening to these great stories, how even these great munis or great men also had to feel the same pain of condemnation in spite of being so great. So let's come to the fourth shloka. Fourth shloka says, Nidram satvika vastu sevanataya swapnam sada jagarat roga jirna mitashana jahi sada dainyam mahadhairyata artha nartha parigraham tyajavruta sansarga santyagataha stri vancham tyaja dosha darshana balat dukkham sukhatme kshanat. So essentially this tells us that some of us have a habit of sleeping too much, and this drowsiness or sleepiness or nidravasta, it comes from as you know, there are three types of gunas: the sattva guna, the rajas guna, and the tamo guna. So this is it's a tamo guna, too much of sleepiness, and this can be reduced by using moral practice. Sattvic vastu sevanataya means you can read good books at bedtime, you can eat less, eat more sattvic food, sattvic reading, sattvic company, and all this can definitely reduce our sleepiness, or it can improve our sleep at night and reduce our daytime sleepiness, or at least even it can reduce our nighttime sleep also. Swapnam sada jagara. Swapnam means it is like a diva swapna, daydreaming. Many of us have a habit of dreaming, a lot of thoughts coming during the day, and we keep dreaming about what we will be in the future, what we want to be in the future, and we should be reducing this by sada being jagara, means being aware of where our mind goes, where our thought goes. If you can be aware of how our mind is behaving, then definitely we can control this daydreaming or our thoughts. Roga jirna mitashana jahi. Roga jirna. Jirna means little, and mitashana means well-balanced, healthy, balanced food. So we should eat so that we can avoid diseases. Roga we can avoid by eating light and eating more balanced and more healthy food, which is easily digestible. Dainyam mahadhairyata. So many times we feel helpless because we can't do something, or for some of our patients or for some people around us, and we feel helpless. And this dainyam or helplessness, deenata, we should avoid by having mahadhairyata. So great courage. We should feel that whatever best we can do, we should do, and leave the rest to surrender to the Almighty. So that should be the way we should tackle these situations. Artha nartha parigraha tyaja vrutha means artha means wealth. So avoid senseless wealth accumulation, because these artha, senseless artha, parigraha causes anartha. So artha, anartha, parigraha, tyaja means that this senseless accumulation of wealth causes a lot of vices. It causes a lot of problems in the family. If you see, a lot of problems in the families occur because of wealth accumulation, and that's why we should have enough for us to be happy, secured, and live a comfortable life. Senselessly accumulating wealth is not of much pursuit. Vrutha sansarga santyagataha. So it says let go of useless company. Sansarga is company, and let go of useless company. And the final sentence, it says Tri vancha tyaja dosha darshana balat. And attraction of opposite sex by seeing the other side, that is the bad consequences of this attraction. So human people or people by itself have a very natural attraction for the opposite sex, especially in the young age. This of course goes on reducing as the age advances, but this is quite natural, and this can only be reduced by seeing the other side. Other side in Shastra is called Pratipaksha Bhavana. So if you see the other side, how it gives, it should, it says that it should look at the Dosha Darshana. Dosha Darshana doesn't mean that there is some dosha in the body. The body doesn't have dosh. The dosh is in the mind. It is in this vasana, or it is in this desire that is maligned. So essentially we have to look at this part, and we have to see the bad consequences or the utterly bad things that can happen by this incessant kind of attraction for the opposite sex. And the final sentence says that dukkham sukhatme kshanat. So let go of all the suffering, all the dukkha. How? By thinking about the blissful nature of our own self. Sukha atmak kshanat. So it is our own self which is the bliss. All this suffering and all the dukkha that is present here, it is not given by the Lord or the Almighty. God created this world which was free of any suffering or dukkha. It is the people who created this sansara which is made up of all the dukkha and suffering. So we should look at our own self, the blissful self that we are, and we can let go of all the suffering that we have by seeing this self. Coming to the 5th shloka, it says Dara Saktim Anadarat Sutadhana Saktim Twanityatvataha Sneham Moha Visarjanat Karunaya Naishthurya Mantats Tyaja Audasinya Samashraya Tyajasuran Mitrari Durvasanam Sarva Nartha Karanda Shendriya Ripuhu Ekanta Vasajjahi. So this says Dara Saktim Anadarat. Dara is a spouse, and Asakti. Sakti means a lot of attachment. We have a lot of attachment with our spouse, and this we can let go by what is called as Anadarat. Anadarat essentially it means, in English it means indifference, but the actual meaning is not indifference. I mean, you can't have indifference for your own spouse. So what it means is a Shobhana Vritti in the Sanskrit. So that essentially means that you should have a feeling or an understanding that your spouse is not meant to give you happiness all the time. That is not the purpose of your spouse. So that is the meaning here, Anadarat. So that is how we can let go of the attachment with our spouse, by this kind of an attitude. Sutta dhana asaktim anityatvataha. So we also have a lot of attachment for our sutta. Sutta means children and dhana is wealth. So we have a lot of asakti towards our sutta and dhana, and this we can let go by thinking about its anityatva. That means it is transient, all this is impermanent, everything will come and go, and with this understanding we can let go of too much of attachment with money and with our children. I mean, it's very natural to have attachment to our children. We can't let go it completely, but too much of attachment creates a source of misery and creates source for unhappiness. So this we can let go. So it says Sneham Moha Visarjanat. So Sneha means love, and love is good. I mean, love is not something that we have to let go, but too much of love, what is called as a moha, that is the problem. Infatuation, or which creates moha, and we have to let this go of this attachment. So, but when we let go of this attachment, we should not become very harsh or naishthurya. Naishthurya means harshness or cruelty, something where there is no compassion, and we cannot become someone like that, because we can let go this naishthurya by becoming more karunaya. Karunaya means compassion, and in our profession also karuna is very important, and karuna is very, very important even for our relationships with everyone else in the family. Also, we have to feel the pain of others, we have to have that compassion to be a human being, and this we cannot let go. So essentially we should let go of too much of love, which can create attachment and miseries, but at the same time we shouldn't become naishthurya, and naishthurya we can let go by being more compassionate. Audasinya samashraya tyajasuran mitrari durvasanam. It says audasinya. Audasinya means be indifferent to the core. Samashraya, Suran, Mitra or Ari. So basically Suran is a friend, Mitra is a friend, Suran is a friend who is who always does good for you, and Ari means an enemy. So in all this we see a lot of differences. Our buddhi, our mind works with lot of differentiation, which is in Shastra it is called Bheda Buddhi. We see a lot of differences. Friends we like, some of them we love, some of them we don't like. Enemies we hate. Relatives, some of them we like, some we don't like. So we have a lot of likes, dislikes, very strong raga, dvesha, what is called in our scriptures. And this is the root cause of the problems that happen in our mind. So it says that this Bheda Buddhi we can let go by being Audasinya. Audasinya essentially doesn't mean indifference, but Audasinya means that you can rise above and see it from a very neutral perspective. That is what it means. Something like, in a tennis match, the judge is sitting up and is seeing everyone as the same. He doesn't have a like for one player or the other, and he judges everything by the same method. So that is what is the Audasinya or Udasina Bhava, what is called in our scriptures. Sarva anartha karan dashendra indriya ripuhu ekanta vasa jahi. So it says the biggest mischief mongers or our greatest enemies are our dasha indriya. Dasha indriya are pacha karma indriya, pacha gnanendriya. So these indriyas are essentially our sense organs through which we perceive the objects that we see outside. So these 10 sense organs are the greatest source of all the miseries, and it says that we should let go of them and remain in solitude, ekanta vasa jahi, so that these indriya are not coming in contact with the objects. So we should try to remain as much as away from contact with the objects which excite our indriyas, because these it is said that these indriyas, they behave like horses. They are basically essentially they want to run around. Whenever they see any object, they want to just run around. So it says that our scriptures tell us that there must be some kind of a lagam. Lagam is control over these senses, and the mind is this kind of a lagam. And over the mind there must be some kind of a control, which our buddhi or our intellect, which is also called a sarthi. It can become like a sarthi. It can control the mind, so that in turn the mind can control the indriya, so that we can remain in equanimity and in peace with our own self. So now we come to the 6th shloka. It says Alasyam Tvaraya Shramam Shamadhiya Tandrim Samuthanatah Bheda Bhranti Abheda Darshana Balat Mithyatwata Satyatam Marmoktim Nija Marma Karma Kathaya Krodham Swashamyek Kshanat Akrosham Kushaloktitasthya Jamana Chindya Pramadat Bhayam. So this says Alasyam Tvaraya. Most of us at some point or the other time we feel quite lazy in doing our work. It says that you get over this laziness or this tamoguna by quickly having an attitude of quickly finishing the task, shigrata, at the earliest. So this is the kind of attitude we should have. Shramam Shamadhiya. And quite a few of us have this attitude or this habit of doing too many things. We want to do too many efforts, we want to achieve too many things, we have to do too many to-do lists, too many tasks on hand, and we keep doing this and we get fatigued. So it says this Rajoguna or habit of doing too many things also we should try to control by being Shama. Shama means control our mind, control our desires, make sure that we do whatever is necessary. We don't expend too much of our energies and efforts in doing useless things. It says Tandrim Samuthanataha. So Tandra Avastha means it is something between the Jagrata Avastha and the Nidra Avastha. So it's neither awake Avastha, neither is the sleepiness. So it's like a sleepiness. So with this, how we can get over it is Samuthanata. Samuthanata means we should tell our mind, get up, arise. Don't be in a sleepy state. We could tell our mind to get up and rise and don't be in this sleepy state. We could use things like, just wash your face, just have a shower, or we could have a cup of hot coffee or something, and we can get over this sleepiness or Tandra Avastha and get alert. Bheda Bhranti Abheda Darshana Balat. So we all of us have a lot of, he says that there are 5 Bheda and there are 5 Bhrantis. So with this we should look everything with a Abheda Darshana. So all these differentiation that we see, confusions, we should view with oneness. I mean, it's very difficult, but it is definitely possible, because it's only the drashti and the mindset that we need to change. Say for example, we are looking at a necklace. In the necklace there will be several pearls of different colors, different sizes, but the string that connects all these pearls is just one. Normally our Our drashti is towards the necklace, so we see all the forms which are all different, but it is connected through only one thread. So essentially it's a way of looking at the thing. Similarly, in this world where we see a lot of differences, we can see oneness amongst these differences. So that is what it tells us. And how we can do this? Mithyatvatah satyatam, reality of this world with the mithyatva buddhi. So basically we should look at this world like a big illusion. Illusion, as I said, is not that it is not existent. It is existent, it is there, but it is not the reality. It is like a big drama that we watch. It is like a movie that we are watching. Basically, because the director is something else. I cannot control the role of some dramatist or the actors in a movie or in a drama. So that is what I have to understand, that in this big drama, I am not the director. I cannot change people. I cannot change somebody. What I have to do is I have to just change my own self if I want to do any meaningful difference in this world. Marma uktim nija marma kathaya. So somehow some of the people have a habit of hitting somebody else or other person at the pressure points. We all have our marma sthana, our pressure points, sthana where if somebody hits us, that we feel the pain, we pinch. That pinch is always there. And these are some of our, attitudes that we always have inside. And that's why we should avoid hitting other people at their pressure points, thinking that we have our own pressure points and it hurts too much when somebody presses on our pressure points. So with this, we should avoid, hitting people, what is also called as hitting below the belt or hitting at the pressure points and making them come in pain. So this is some kind of a habit that people have. They sometimes even take some happiness from using this kind of a sadistic pleasure, and this is kind of a personality for which people have. So we should avoid this kind of a personality. Krodham swasamye kshanat. So krodha is again, it comes that it is anger, is the root cause of a lot of problems, and that's why we can, by seeing our own self over there, we can say how, if we are there in this place, how would I have behaved? That is how we can ask our own self and take care or control our anger. Akrosham kushala uktim tastyaja. Akrosha means aggression. If we are too unhappy with somebody, we have a lot of aggression which is fueled up inside, and when we meet that person, sometimes we just blow over the tunnel and we sometimes shout and scream at that person. But what we should do is, we should treat this person with a kushala uktim tastyaja, means kushala mangala pucho unse, ask them hello gently, how are you? So try to make sure that you control your aggression by gentle kushala uktim. And finally, chindya pramadat bhayam. Chindya apramadat. Apramada means by proactive, being proactive. Pramada means laziness. So you come out of laziness, be proactive, and chindya, you try to reach your goal, which gives you abhaya padam. Abhaya padam means because it destroys all the fear. And the goal ultimately, when a spiritual seeker reaches the goal, which is the ultimate goal, is the self-knowledge, it destroys all the ignorance, and along with this, all the bhaya and shoka, also all the miseries, all the sufferings, all the fear is destroyed when the person reaches the goal. So it says that, try to best get into this action of reaching to your ultimate goal. Bhutartha smaranam vrutha shramadiya praptam tu hane kshanat bhavyartha vyasanam sada tyaja mana prarabdha chodhye kshanat shishta shishta janak kriyam tyaja vrutha kashthanusandhanatah snehad dveshamatim sada tyaja janam bhasman tatha sansvrute. So this stanza starts with saying that we have an incessant habit of thinking, too much of thoughts, too much of thinking. One is about the past. We keep thinking about what has happened in the past. Somebody told me this, somebody told me this 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I can't forget it, and I get miserable, I get worried, I have a lot of anugraha against that person because I keep remembering those useless things. So this says bhutartha, in the past somebody has done smarana, vrutha, it is useless, and don't waste your energy, shrama or kriya in in Vedanta doesn't mean just Kriya means physical, it also means mental activity. So let go of this unless useless labor or activity by forgetting the thoughts of the past, because it is useless. Praptam tu hane kshanat. So we also keep thinking about the present objects that we have achieved. Some objects that we have, somebody has a big car, a big house, we think about what, yes, I have achieved so much, I have accumulated so much, and this we should try and avoid by looking at its hanekshanat. Hanekshanat means it has a destructible nature. Today it is there, tomorrow it may not be there. So in a big frame of things, all this is very transient, and that's why we should not be obsessed of thinking about whatever we have accumulated or what we have at the present moment. Bhavyartha vyasanam sadatyaja. So we also have a habit of thinking too much about the future. That becomes an addiction, vyasana, bhavyartha. And we should also let go of this habit. What will happen? What will I earn? What will I become 5 years from now, 10 years from now? How much will I be able to accumulate wealth? What will be my stock market ratios? All this we keep thinking a lot about our future. And this, it says that prarabdha chopdekshana, you leave it to the destiny. That destiny has something in store for you. Leave it, surrender yourself and live it in this way. Then it says shishta ashishta janakriya tyajavrutha. It says shishta anishta, polite and rude behavior of people. You should try and avoid this, because by the useless labor of efforts that it requires a lot of kashta. So this you can see and avoid this. Sneha dvesha matim sadatyajamana. We all have a lot of sneha, love, and dvesha, sometimes hate. This is the dvesha mati that we have, and this we should let go. It's like a strong likes and dislikes. We should let go for people. How we can let go this? By seeing that janam bhasman tatha sansrute. By seeing that the fate of all these bodies or all these human forms is in the ashes. Ultimately, it all goes into ashes. So by this reality, we can avoid having too much of attachment or likes or dislikes, strong likes, dislikes for some people around us. Coming to the 8th shloka, Adhyatmadi bhavam sada tyaja mana tapam swabhave kshanat vaishamyam samabhavata parakatha vikshep makshobhatah dhikkarabi bhavam tu dukkha manisham tad yogyata bhavanat tajknyata jna shishung shamakshva krupaya karmakshaya tadanam. So this shloka tells us that there are a lot of sufferings that we all suffer, different 3 types of dukkhas or sufferings: adhyatmika, adhibhautika, adhibhuta. So these are all the 3 types of suffering that we all suffer, and we should let go of these sufferings by contemplating on our own self. Swabhavik Kshanat. Vaishamya Samabhavata. All the differences, Vaishama, Vishamata that we see in the world, a lot of differences, by being Samabhavata. Samabhava means being in equipoise, or Samabhava, Samatva, Bhavana. And Parakatha Vikshepa Akshobhataha. Parakatha Vikshepa means somebody talks about us, agitation, and we get agitated by what people talk about us. But we should avoid this by being Akshobhataha, means being in tranquil or being unmoved or unperturbed by what people talk about us. And we shouldn't get agitated by anybody and anyone talking about us. Dhikkarabi bhavam tu dukkha manisham. So somebody criticizes us or contempts us, dhikkar. So this is also big pain for all of us. But we should let go of this pain also. How? We should try and avoid that. That is the first way we can avoid this. We should not, behave in a way that somebody does dhikkara or contempts us. But the other way is tad yogyata bhavanat. You feel that probably you may be deserving this kind of a attitude. Maybe you have done something knowingly or unknowingly in the past, for which that person is behaving with you in such a nasty way. We have to do some kind of a contemplation of thinking why this person is behaving with me in a such unhealthy manner. So it calls for a contemplation rather than being very reactive in our approach. Tajknyatat shishung shamasva krupaya. So knowingly or unknowingly, deeds of the people, we should forgive them, thinking that it's like a childlike person, and whenever a child does this kind of a mistake, we always try and forgive them. Similarly, we can also, with the same attitude, we can forgive people for their deeds rather than disturbing our peace of mind. So ideally, the idea is that our peace of mind should not be disturbed at any cost, and we should develop attitude so that we can remain in equanimity and in equilibrium with our own self all the time. Karma kshaya tadanam. So it says karma kshaya tadanam. Tadanam means physical assault. Somebody does a physical assault on you, and you can think that this is the dissipation of the karma. I'm sure it's very difficult to understand this. Say, for example, in the current context, if you think about the COVID crisis it's actually a tadanam. It is a physical assault on humanity because of a virus, and the virus is seen as an enemy of the mankind. So how we can look at this episode, the entire view, from the scriptures perspective? From the scriptures perspective, it says that there is something like a karma. So maybe it is not an individual karma, but it is a universal karma, where we have, in the process of being more developed, being more civilized, in the process of being more industrialized, we have probably destroyed the environment, in the ecology and the ecosystem, and that is how the ecosystem is paying us back with some kind of an assault on us. So it's basically the dissipation of the karma that is happening, of the universal karma, what is happening. Probably this is one of the ways we can look at this entire scenario. I'm sure it cannot justify the kind of destruction that is happening, but something that something for which we can do very little about. We have to understand and accept the situation as it is, it's some kind of a nature's design which is beyond our understanding, beyond what we can fathom. So basically, if somebody tries to physically assault you, you can see that this is some kind of a dissipation of the karma kshaya. Already some maybe thinking that I have done something, some kind of a karma for this, the person is paying back, and this karma is now getting dissipated, and I will not have to bear with it in the future. So this is one way of looking at the situation. Ayur gacchati petikamiva jalam santyajya deham javat gacchantindriya shaktayopi kulata yadvan naram nirdanam pragnya gacchati davadaha samaye needam mrugim vaktva gnatva sattvaram ashrayatma padavim deham vrutha makrutha. This is my favorite shloka, and it's a beautiful shloka. It tells us about the importance of the human life and the importance of spending our time. It says, "O mind, ayur gacchati petika iva jalam," says that water is flowing out from a vessel, and the years are passing by, just like water is flowing out from a vessel. So if you fill up a vessel with water, and if there is a hole in this vessel, how the water keeps leaking. Similarly, years are just passing by, and it's been our experience that so many years have passed by, and we feel that the life is going very fast. Santyajya deham javat. Life is also leaving this body constantly. There is life is leaving this body, just like how a kulta yadvan naram nirdanam, a prostitute leaves a person who doesn't have any more wealth. So fast the life is leaving us. Gacchanta indriya shaktayopi. The power of our senses is also leaving us very fast. Something very similar to when there is a forest fire, the herd of deer, they leave the forest. So davadaha samaye, in the forest fire, needam mrugim vaktova. So how the herd of deers, they leave the forest. Pragnya gacchati. Our intellect is also leaving us day in and out. And that's why Gnatva Satvara Atma Padvim means be in a hurry. Satvara, immediately make sure that you know Gnatva, you understand and know your real self. Atma Padavim, you know your real self. Be in a hurry. And the last is the most beautiful statement. It says Deham Vrutha Makrutha. It says don't let this human form or this life go in waste. So this human form or this life which has been given to us is very, very valuable. It is invaluable. We have a very limited time on this on this planet, on this world, and we should make the best use of our time. Each second, each moment is very vital, and we should be very aware how we are using this time on earth to attain our goals, whether we are using it in useless pursuits or whether you are using it in pursuits which are going to take us towards our goals. So we have to be very aware. So this is a beautiful shloka which tells us about this. So coming to the final shloka, the 10th shloka of this scripture, Dhairya Airavata Shanti Dhenu Damana Mandara Vruksham Sada Maitrya Dhap Sarasam Viveka Turagam Santosha Chintammanim Atma Gnana Mahamrutam Samarasam Vairagya Chandrodayam Vedantaranava Mashraya Anudinam Sevasya Mukti Shriyam. So it says, oh seeker, you empower yourself with this positive attribute. So the last shloka talks about the positive attitudes that we should empower ourselves with, and gives us an example also, Dhairya Airavata. It says, have courage like an Airavata elephant. Airavata elephant, as you know, was elephant of King Indra, and he had elephant itself have a lot of courage, and they have a lot of patience. They have their own pace, they have their own rhythm, and they have a lot of courage. So this is what we have to learn from the elephant, to have courage, to walk on the path that we determine that is good for us, and we should have a lot of patience and courage at the same time. Similarly, Shanti Dhenu means peace of mind. Shanti, like a Kama Dhenu cow. If you see cow is a very peaceful animal. It keeps grazing, keeps eating little bit, keeps walking around, doesn't get excited, doesn't get anxious, doesn't get agitated anytime. And so cow, something like a Kama Dhenu cow, it's an example or for Shanti or a peace of mind. So that is how we should have a peace of our mind, must be like that. Amandara Vruksha, that means a Kalpa Vruksha. So Damana Amandara Vruksha means that we should control our senses, something like a Kalpa Vruksha. So we should have this kind of a control over our Indriya or our senses, and that can give us a great fruit like Kalpa Vruksha. Whatever you ask for, it will give, because you are completely in control over your senses. And then it says Maitri Adi Apsara. So virtues like friendship, love, etc., which gives happiness like a Apsara. So that is how we should create this kind of values. Viveka Turagam, discrimination or Viveka. Viveka means using your buddhi, intellect, in discriminating what is good, what is not good, what is good for me, what is not good for me. Something like a horse. Turaga is a Uchchashraiva horse which Indra used in his war, which had a great intellect. It could make a lot of tactical moves in the war, and horses are quite intellectual. Whenever if you observe when they are climbing a mountain, they see exactly before putting a step over there. So they keep discriminating. They are very aware, and that is how we can reach our goal much faster if we have this kind of a discrimination. Viveka, we use our buddhi for Viveka like a horse. Santosha Chintammanim, we should have this virtue of satisfaction, contentment, which is very important, something like a Chintamani jewel. So these are the people who are happiest of all, those who are contented. And these are all the, if you see these jewels, these are all Chintamani, Uchchashraiva horse, Apsara, Mandar Vruksha, Kamadhenu, Airavata. All this came out during Samudra Manthana. These are all the jewels which came out after the poison came. But if you have these, poison will not be there. And then finally in the Samudra Manthana, as you know, the nectar or Amruta. So it says Atma Gnana Maha Amruta Samarasam. So the nectar here is the self-knowledge or Atma Gnan, which is the ultimate reality, which is what Vedanta tells us, that it is the final goal for all the spiritual seekers. And that Atma Gnana has samatva, it has a samarasa, it has equipoise, it has equanimity, it is the same, it does not have any ups or downs or any differences or any attributes, it is the same. And it also tells us to have vairagya, detachment, like Chandrodayam, like a moon. If you look towards the moon gives us a lot of peace, itna shitalta deta hai, peace and happiness. So this kind of a detachment can be, it is said that the moon, we should have this detachment. And finally it says Vedanta Arnava Ashraya Anudinam. Vedanta is like an ocean of knowledge, and you should take Ashraya, you should take refuge of this Anudinam every day by regularly practicing Vedanta in some form of reading, listening, vichara, or some kind of contemplation. If you practice that, then you can reach this ultimate goal by using all these virtues. And it says, what is finally the fruit of all this? The fruit already of all this is Sevasya Mukti Shriyam. So Mukti is freedom and Shri is Lakshmi. As you know, Shri means, so it says that enjoy the real wealth. So the fruit is a real wealth, and this real wealth is you get a complete freedom from all this circle of life and death and all these bondages. You'll be relieved by attaining and understanding your own true self. So this, we come to the end of this Durvasana Pratikar Dashakam. I'm sure it's quite a mammoth scripture. It's not something to be meant or discussed in a 1 hour talk. It is something that whenever a guru describes, or each shloka takes maybe 1 to 2 hours to understand, and so it takes about 6 months for somebody to understand this. So I'm sure it'll take time. It requires a lot of repetitions. But let me tell you from my own personal experience that this is a very powerful scripture, and we can actually revise this every day of our life. If you want to just recite it, it takes 5 minutes. If you want to recite it with its meaning, it will take 10 minutes in a day. Every day using 10 minutes is not a bad thing, or it's very good, because it will help us to overcome, to be aware about. So we have to actually reach to a level when that situation or our thought or that mind status or situation arises, we can actually quote how we can handle this from the scripture. So to reach to this level, we have to continuously do some kind of a practice, and we have to keep this, we have to keep reminding ourselves about all this, because everything is ingrained so strongly in our self as sanskaras, and this has been for years, for ages, and probably for many births. And that's why, to get rid of these strong sanskaras that we have, we need to keep continuously revising, practicing, reciting, and being aware about all these kind of attitudes, or our the habits that come up, the thoughts that come up. And unless we are so aware about this, I don't think we can make a meaningful change in our life. And only with this awareness, even after this awareness, the change comes very gradually, but it is perceptible, and it'll show up on your personality. People outside will also be able to perceive this change, and this, I'm sure it will come. And I wish you all the best for this change. It's only because of the Krupa of our Guruji and Ishwara Krupa that I'm able to little bit understand whatever I have from this kind of scriptures, which are, of course, in Sanskrit. It is quite difficult for us, but it is only because of this Guru Krupa and Ishwara Krupa that I have been able to understand a little bit about this scripture, which I have tried to share it with you. So I thank you all very much for this session, and I wish you best for all of you. And I hope and I pray that you all keep reciting this every day. It will help you. Certainly the changes will be seen in 6 to 12 months, but if you keep doing this off and again repeatedly, it will definitely show changes in your own self, in your own thinking, in your own, the way the vrittis come up, the way the thoughts, even before the thoughts there are vritti which come up. This will change, and that is how our thoughts can change. And that once our thoughts change, our actions will change, and that will make some meaningful impact in our life. Thank you very much.